Based off of the user stories and the features from the product backlog, I'm going to create a use scenario for having an employee update a daily room rate. So the employee would need to log in with their username and password. They would, in order to update that daily room rate, they would need to view a list of all the rooms and their rates. They would, in order to update that single room, they would have to click on that room or click somewhere to get the details for that room in order to update it. And so that covers 3 of these items here in the product backlog. So they might not all flesh out in the way that we have them written in our user stories, but that's okay. We can fix up our user stories, or we can just, in this case, we'll just make the changes here. We'll make those design decisions here as we create our use scenario. So we'll need to make sure we include all these details though, because they are included in the product backlog. So all we're doing in this one though is updating the rooms and rates. So let's go ahead and jump over here, and we're going to call this employee updates a rooms daily rate. So this is our title. It is descriptive for what it is that we are going to be doing, what the user is going to be doing. I'm going to have us start off on the home page. So scenario starts off on home page. And we don't really have an idea about what the home page is at this point. All we know is they don't have access to anything. We don't really have anything in the site, right? So actually at this point, let me bring this up real quick. At this point, we don't even really have anything in our site. All we have is our user accounts. This is as far as this system has been created, right? So we are using the Scrum Agile methodology for creating this system. And so at this point, all we've worked on is user accounts. Now we're moving on to employee actions. This means that this is all we have, our user accounts. That's as much functionality as we can include, and then whatever is included in this section. Scenario starts off on homepage. We're logging in first. Employee clicks log in. And then what does the employee see? Employee sees login pop up. All right, now what? So now they got to start entering their form details. So employee enters Aaron Smith 22. So why am I entering that? Let's jump over here. So they need to have their username and password. So all they need is username and password. So I'm going to say, let's make this a little bit bigger so it's easier to see. Employee enters Aaron Smith 22. Then we're going to have their password, and we'll say for username. And then we'll say employee enters WFN. I have this pre-written out for myself here, but what I did to find this was as I just pulled up my LastPass password generator, and I generated a random password so that I didn't have to think about this. And you can use tools like that when designing so that you can use real world data but not have to think of it. $1 $li. Okay, so there's my password. Okay, employee enters that bit of numbers and letters and characters for a password, and then what? So then the employee clicks login, and we want it to be exact. That's what I want it to have. That's what I would want the form to say, is login. All right, now what? What's the employee going to see after they log in? Well, I want the employee to be dropped off the list of rooms and their rates. So the employee sees the list of all rooms and rates. So after the employee sees the list of rooms and rates, then they need to click on that room, or they need to click which room they want to edit. So employee clicks edit next to room 202. You can create these, and then after you create them, when you start creating the wireframes using these steps, you will probably want to change details. You'll want to make sure that the data that you're using makes sense with the wireframe. And so I've created wireframes for these, and I've know at this point what I want my room number to be. I know where I want the information to be. So I know that I want them to be clicking edit next to the room. But you might not know that at this point. You might put something down like employee clicks on room 202, and for now that would suffice. So but I know what I would want my user to press. I know which room it is, and so I'm going to go ahead and just write that down. But keep in mind that once you create these, you can always change them as you're creating your wireframes, as you're making design decisions. So employee clicks edit next room 202. Employee clicks. So we see employee clicks, and now we see employee sees. Employee sees form populated with room 202 details. Employee enters, so we're changing the rate, right? 140.99 into rate field. Right? What do they do now? Employee clicks save. So now that I've changed the rate, I want to save my data. And then after I save, it's going to close the screen, and I'm going to see the list of the room list with updated details. Okay, so what features are we covering in this? We have a scenario, so we have the login. We've covered that login feature that we show that happening here. We cover seeing the list of rooms and rates, so that feature's there. So when we say that I want to see a list of rooms and their associated rates, now we don't have where the employee clicks view rates, but instead they're just showing up on the home page, and those are the rooms and rates. So it's okay. That's a design decision that we made in the process. Let's see, then the employee clicks edit next to room 202, and we see what we're going to see here is a populated field or form with all the fields filled out. So the section here where it says, as an employee, I'd like to view details for each room. So we're seeing all the details for that room. And this is so that I can answer customer questions about them, but really it would be more like so that I can edit all of the fields, and these are the fields that we would see. Okay, I don't need to list out those fields in my use scenario. Just mentioning them right here like this is fine, because we are going to see that in our wireframe, and we don't need to list them all out. You can, if you want to, you can put in parentheses here, or underneath here dash, you can put all of those details that they will see, but it's not necessary just because it will be in the wireframe. And then we have the rate here and clicking save. So we have several functionalities and features listed here in this one small use scenario.